I'm sure I heard some time ago that you were working on a screenplay for the excellent Confederacy of Dunces. What happened? And if you're not doing it, who is?
It's one of the great, I'm not sure what the phrase is, it's the Holy Grail for some, certainly that's one, that's perhaps a bit extreme, but it's one of the most extraordinary novels of the 20th century in America. For those who don't know it, it's written by a boy really, called John Kennedy Toole, who at the age of 14 or 15 had written a book called The Neon Bible, which Terence Davis made into a film, which was a satire on American churches. And then at a very young age he wrote his masterpiece, Confederacy of Dunces, taken from a Jonathan Swift line, "You may know a genius by this sign, that the dunces are all in confederacy against him." Splendidly paranoid. Unfortunately, he produced the book and then committed suicide. And it is just an extraordinary book, and many, many people have wanted to set it for film. Earliest, I think, was John Belushi wanted to play Riley. Every actor of any size has considered playing it, because rather, as I was saying about Oscar Wilde, you know, if you're a big fat actor, there are certain roles you're never going to get, but you might occasionally think, oh, one day I'll be a Falstaff, or one day I'll be a, this, that, or the other. And Ignatius P. Reilly is certainly one. Then John Candy and Harold Ramis, stroke Ramis, depending how you like to pronounce him, worked on a version. John Candy died, so the film was beginning to look, it was cursed. Not only had the author committed suicide, incidentally, the first year, as soon as it was published, it won a posthumous Pulitzer Prize for John Kennedy Toole. It's never been out of print. It is one of the classics of late-ish, mid to late 20th century American literature. Eventually, in the 90s, I was asked through Paramount, through Scott Rudin, who was a producer then, who had a deal at Paramount, if I might consider writing it. And I'd known the book, and funnily enough, when I'd worked on a comedy series years ago in the 80s with Robbie Coltrane, Robbie had said to me, "I'll read that book, I'd love to play Ignatius Reilly one day." And indeed Robbie would be quite brilliant, or would have been. I guess he's now obviously too old. I said to Paramount rather cheekily, I said, "Look, the second biggest country in the novel after Ignatius is New Orleans. I've never been there." And they said, "Oh, go to the travel office, that's fine." So sorted out. I had a week, 2 weeks in New Orleans wandering around with a notebook. The most marvellous time of my life. And I eventually wrote a script and then a second version, and I actually collaborated with Steven Soderbergh, the director. Then it was a very complicated business about who owned the rights and who liked this, which version, and blah, 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 blah. The simple answer to it is that every now and again there's an article in a trade paper or variety type, magazine, which says the ongoing curse of Confederacy of Dunces. It's one of those famous projects that is, I'm one of many who have written, but there are many others, and one day someone will do it.
It's rumoured you've written a Doctor Who script that was shelved because it was too expensive to produce. Is this true? And if so, what was it about? And are you still hoping that eventually it will see the light of day?
I don't dismiss the idea of it, entirely disappearing, of it coming back. I don't dismiss the idea of it coming back. It was based on Gawain and the Green Knight, the legend of Gawain and the Green Knight, one of the sub-Arthurian legends. Gawain was one of the knights. Gavin, I suppose, would be his modern name. I can imagine a knight called Gavin. It seems so wrong, doesn't it? But anyway, there's a feast in the hall one winter, and in comes this enormous green knight.